Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us for Morning Air here. It's Glenn in for John on this middle of August day. Sister Emanuela Edwards is with us. We're talking art and architecture found in the church. Sister Emanuela, a member of the Missionaries of Divine Revelation, the Missionaries of Divine Revelation official guides for the Vatican Museums, delivering the tours of art and faith. You can book them online at the museum's website. That's mdrevelation.org. Sister Emanuela, welcome to Morning Air. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very well, thanks, on this wonderful feast day as well.
Yes, great to have you along on this very, very special day. Love to have that beautiful accent, too, here in American radio. We appreciate that so much. And now we're counting on you to be a real radio pro, and we'll do our best here, too, as we talk about art on the radio. And need to be very descriptive in our language. But you want to talk to us today on this Assumption of Mary about the Dormition of Mary.
Yes, this is a wonderful image, and I think your viewers can look at it on the Facebook page. I sent the images in, and so the main image that we find that we'll look at today is from St Mary Major's Basilica, which was the first basilica in the West dedicated to Our Lady, and it was built originally in the 4th century, but then was left in its present form after the Council of Ephesus, when Our Lady was proclaimed the Theotokos, the Mother of God. And so in the great apse of the Basilica, we have this wonderful series of mosaics which depict, of course, the life of Our Lady, made by the Franciscan artist Jacopo Toretti from the 13th century. And so today I thought it's perfect to talk about this image known as the Dormition of Mary, which is the Assumption of Our Lady, the passage of Our Lady from earth into heaven. And of course, true to the artist always takes from the tradition of the church. And the tradition was exactly as we see in the image. The apostles were all with Our Lady when our Lord came and took her to heaven. Of course, we always refer to Our Lady not as ascending to heaven, because Christ ascended to heaven by his own power, but Our Lady was assumed. Our Lady went to heaven, assumed by the power of God himself. And so we see this in the wonderful image. If we look on the lower portion, we can see Our Lady, if you like, on the deathbed, and she's surrounded by the apostles. And to the left of her head, of course, we see St. Peter with the thurible, who's saying the prayer. There's a very beautiful detail to the right of Our Lady's head. We can see a very young St. John crying at the thought of Our Lady being assumed into heaven, because of course St. John took care of Our Lady at the request of our Lord from the cross in Calvary. Now the central image, very beautifully, we see Our Lady being taken up to heaven by Christ. And if we go to the more enlarged version, where you can see the Dormition of Mary in another image, the Salus Populus Romani, we can understand this image a little bit more clearly. Here we see very beautifully Christ has taken Our Lady into his arms in order to take her to heaven. And this is a very, very traditional image. And in a sense, it says what Dante said in the Divine Comedy, the Virgin Mother, daughter of your Son. And if we look at the image, we can understand that very beautifully, because our Lord takes Our Lady up to heaven, receives Our Lady, in the same way as she, as the Mother of God, received him as a child. It's a very, very beautiful, very, very tender image. And when you put the two together, we can see this very beautiful comparison. When we look at Our Lady, we notice that she's all white, which of course depicts the fact that she was immaculate. And here's the thing, this is the interesting thing, because the dogma of the Immaculate Conception was of course proclaimed in 1854, and the dogma of the Assumption much more recently in 1950 by Pope Pius XII. And therefore what we see, this wonderful mosaic was created in the 13th century. And so this is, if you like, a physical testimony to the faith, to what the Church has always believed through time, even before the proclamation of the official dogmas that us Catholics all know so well. And so it's a testimony to faith. And so typically in these images, exactly as we see in St. Mary Major's Basilica, above the Dormition of Our Lady, we often see the next scene, and we can see the coronation of the Madonna, the crowning of Our Lady, Queen of Heaven and Earth. And this is a central piece of the main apse in the Basilica. It is, if you like, the culmination of Our Lady's own life. It's a culmination of that yes that she gave to God. And so as we look at this wonderful scene, we're reminded of the feast that will follow us in a week's time, which is, of course, the Queenship of Mary, when we celebrate Our Lady as Queen of Heaven and Earth. And if we look at the picture, if we look below the circle which represents heaven, there's a very, very faint Latin inscription. And this summarises the piece, really. It says, I did a translation before we went on air, it says, the Virgin Mary was assumed to the celestial throne, where the King of Kings resides on a throne of stars. The Holy Mother of God was exalted above all the choirs of the angels in the heavenly kingdom. And therefore this very beautifully states the central theme of our Marian faith, what we believe about the Mother of God. If we look around the circle, we can see all this wonderful foliage and greenery, and this, of course, is a sign of a new creation. And so we're reminded of a new creation, a new heaven and a new earth, as the book of Revelation says. But inside the circle representing heaven, there's this star-filled blue background, which, of course, represents heaven. And so this is the realm of God. Down towards the bottom of the image, towards where our Lord and Our Lady's feet are, we can see, if we look very, very carefully, we can see the sun and the moon. And the sun is, of course, near Christ, because he is the true light of the world. Whilst the moon is on the side of Our Lady, because the moon, in a certain sense, represents death, whose victory she is overcome. But together, the sun and the moon symbolise time. Christ and Mary are above time, to show that they're outside time, they now reside in eternity. And this is the real point of today's feast, really. This is the feast where we celebrate Our Lady now lives, as the dogma says, body and soul with God in eternity. And so
Sister Emanuela Edwards joining us, looking at art and architecture found in the church, the Dormition of Mary from St. Mary Major Basilica in Rome, and beautiful work. Sister, how has it helped people through the years to really appreciate the Assumption, to be prayerful and reverent in front of this image?
I think what it is really, if we understand the sense of this image, the important thing is that it reminds us that Our Lady's destiny is also our destiny too. We can see, in fact, our Lord crowning Our Lady. And so this reminds us, this in a way is also a symbol of the church, because Our Lady is also a symbol of the church. And therefore she is the first of all Christians to share in that great destiny. And so she reminds us that our destiny is exactly the same, that we're destined for an eternity of happiness with God. And therefore, I think all the great saints, they all say, think of eternity, think of heaven every day. And so that we will be inspired, like Our Lady, to live the kind of life that she lived, in order that one day too we can enjoy that beatific vision which this great image represents.
Oh, taking that long view and learning about that with Sister Emanuela Edwards. You can see the images we're talking about today on the radio here on our Facebook page. That's the Morning Air Facebook page. Sister Emanuela, thank you very much. Again, a member of the Missionaries of Divine Revelation. Find out more at mdrevelation.org. We're going to talk stewardship giving and how that impacts our faith with Kim Morgan next as Morning Air continues here on Relevant Radio.